They thought they had banished us forever. But now, finally, we have returned.
And we have indeed returned to the world of Star Wars with possibly the least controversial topic, the original trilogy. And eventually we'll go into a less contentious topic, which will be the sequels. But that will be for a little bit later. We'll see. We shall see. Anyway, first off, I need to bring in my guests. Let's start off with Neph Champion.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Yeah. And don't worry, you don't have to watch the sequels if you don't want to.
Thank you, because I have no plan of ever watching those terrible movies ever again.
Yeah. Totally understandable. We'll find a way to make up. You'll watch something like The Room or something. We'll watch something like The Room or something. Anyway, let's bring in our friendly Belarioft curmudgeon.
Greetings.
Greetings.
Thank you. And I have a couple of friends with me. Let's see if I can show them to you. I don't know if you can see them or not. I have Yoda and C-3PO. I don't know if you can see them or not.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's most of my Star Wars collection. That's most of my Star Wars collection. well, about half of it anyway. So, yeah, let's see. I need to hide myself again. I'm trying to do it. Maybe you want to put the Prezi up.
Sure. Sorry, Space Junk. I apologize for being an hour and a half late. I'm very sorry. Late night work, early morning service. What can you do? And anyway, we must no longer deprive the chat of the charisma that is the bard. I wonder if I don't know if the dragon shearing thing is still a thing, but it's just a bard thing, I guess. Hopefully Tarek is back here.
Here's to the bard and the pollen we plum. Here's to the beast and the rest of you scum. The cage is locked in and the town is aflame, and it's ours for the taking, though you get the fame.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, Tarek.
Hey.
Greetings.
Well, let's get started. We're actually gonna just cover all three original trilogy movies in one stream, and in under 2 hours. So it's gonna be fun.
Well, there's not much to say about these movies because they're all rather solid movies.
Yeah, and they're kind of solid in really clear ways.
Yeah. Well, A New Hope really The only word for these movies is that they went freaking viral.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't say that I didn't misspecies him. I just talked about. I might have misspecied you. I don't know.
Star Wars is pretty straightforward.
It
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
at the time, everything, if I'm remembering my movie history properly, everything that was coming out back in the late 70s, early 80s was nitty gritty, grim dark,
Well, there
or
was also
something similar.
I think there were also some comedy-ish things like Revenge of the Nerds came out and stuff. I don't remember it very well, but stuff like that was coming out. So there were like comedies and things. But I don't remember anything quite like Star Wars at the time.
But my point was every single movie that was made to be a serious movie was rather dark in tone. And Star Wars blew up because it was a very hope-filled movie.
Kind of.
Well, that's what I'm remembering.
Yeah,
and it's been a while since I've watched the interviews and things like that. But that's what I remember of the interviews.
Yeah, I should remember better, but I don't because I was very young. I was young at the time, so I don't remember anything being quite on the epic scale before. I don't remember any space operas. I don't remember space after. In fact, I remember space-related films about aliens and stuff kind of took off after Star Wars. But I don't remember very
not really. The only thing that came before this that's in the same kind of genre, but is not because it's more of a space western, is Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek is a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but as we said, it's a different thing.
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of that sort of thing going on. Afterwards, you had things like, I don't know, Close Encounters, E.T., and all that stuff. But before, I don't remember. I don't remember much.
Funnily enough, the animated Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies came out during that decade.
Yeah, I think Tarek was trying to say something.
Go for it, Tarek.
I've discussed this movie at length with my cousins. With my family has always loved this series. The reason why Star Wars took off the way it did was because no one had seen a movie like this. I don't mean in terms of like plot or anything. I mean in terms of visual effects. What they managed to show off here had never been done before. This excessive use of miniatures, the excessive use of costumes, these alien races and all this, it had never been seen before in any movie. The closest was Star Trek, but even then, you kind of knew how it was done. It was a very simplistic bunch of sets.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, all the aliens in Star Trek were basically human.
They were guys in like green makeup or in a very unconvincing lizard suit.
Yeah, the original series was really, 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 really cheap. Whenever they tried something that wasn't human, that was like a monster or something, it was like, this is obviously someone in a costume. You just look at it and you laugh.
In fact, we were talking about this on a Discord server I was in the other day. Basically, who created Gene Roddenberry did was he essentially just went and raided whatever Paramount warehouse had available. Like, so often it was like Nazi costumes or something.
Yeah, and it's mostly set on alternate Earths, and there's this bit where this evil sorceress turns into a giant cat, and it's obviously a normal-sized cat that's going through like a tiny corridor or something, and they're trying to make out like it's huge, and it's like, no.
But that's the thing, like Star Wars, the reason why Star Wars took off so well was because no one had seen anything like this before. And when it came out, it truly did change cinema. Like, it showed how big a sci-fi movie can be, because I'm thinking about the other ones, a lot of them were small scale.
Yeah. And, well, I heard somewhere that if they wanted to do Coruscant in miniature, the miniature would have been absolutely enormous.
It probably would have.
Yeah, it would have been enormous. The Death Star trench was glued onto ping pong tables, if I remember correctly.
If you think about it, the Death Star trench scene is not. The amount of detail in it was probably difficult, but the shot itself is very simple.
Yeah, but that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about what they built it on and how big the set miniature was. But if they wanted to do Coruscant in the prequels with miniatures, it would definitely have been bigger than that.
Yeah.
I don't think you could have done Coruscant in a
77
miniature
now.
in a practical miniature very well. I can definitely concur with that.
Yeah, there are two other things to mention. One is the music, the quality of the music.
Until then, everything had been, what, techno?
Well, the Star Wars theme, the Star Trek theme is something like
He uses
la 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 la.
it kind of, but I'm talking about movies, not the TV show, because all the soundtracks of the movies of the 70s and 80s, I believe, had rock music instead of, and this was the first time that an entire symphony had been used to create the soundtrack of the movie. And it's amazing.
London's, the London Symphony or something like that.
I don't know if it was
London.
I don't know if it was the London Symphony, but it probably was.
London,
Since London was one of their where the sets were. Yeah,
I'm trying to check my notes. Trying to check my notes. Sometimes it's hard to read these things. But yeah, it was something in London. London Symphony Orchestra, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's that, and the other thing is, Vader may be iconic now, or maybe used to him now, but at the time, no one had ever seen Vader before, obviously.
So Vader was an impressive piece of like both practical work and character work, and
yeah,
his design is like very eye-catching. It was something.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why Disney wanted to use the helmet.
Yeah, they just didn't do it very intelligently.
No, they didn't.
We'll talk about the sequels when we talk about it, and only with those who want to want to talk about them. So, but I don't. So I actually looked up a lot of the stuff in the 70s, at least like the popular movies. So
that's another thing. Sorry, Don. That's another thing. All of these movies look as if they are. They look amazing, and they hold up even today. Even though some people will say no, they don't. But don't listen to them. They do. They look like, compared to everything else that came out around that time, these things look like they were made with technology that came out like 10 years later.
They had to make the technology. Good they look.
Yeah, they had to create the technology as they went. And that's how amazing it looks.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say a little something for the dialogue. I mean, the dialogue is extremely simple and straightforward, but pardon me, I'm eating at the same time. It does have, for example, Vader has some good lines where he'll just say, "I find your lack of faith disturbing." Well, he's choking this guy. He doesn't go, "Die for your blasphemy." He says, "I find your lack of faith disturbing." And then the chap tells him, release him, and he just says, "As you wish." So he's,
Yeah, that's.
and, yeah. And Obi-Wan.
But there's no pause between faith and disturbing, though. It's just, I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Well, listen, when Peter Cushing tells you to put the fucker down, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
When Dr.
No.
Frankenstein tells you to do something,
Yeah,
Well,
I
Peter
was
Cushing
thinking
was
Van Helsing.
amazing in this.
He was pretty good, but I don't know if Vader would be frightened of. I got the feeling from the delivery that Vader wasn't actually frightened. He was just, okay,
no, he's just
as a
obeying
courtesy.
orders.
He was just as a courtesy, as you wish.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think it definitely like looks like a good movie from the 70s because the costumes are like they look they're still obviously like costume. I think that Return of the Jedi holds up a little, costumes work holds up a little bit more. Since like
I'm
Greedo
sorry,
did-
I have to disagree with you on that. These movies still hold up. It doesn't matter.
no, it holds. Yes, it holds up fine, but it's definitely like a movie from its time period, and the budget does. Like I think like the main thing that like really holds up from these movies are the space battles.
Yes,
That's the main
definitely
thing.
the space battles. The space battles are the best parts of these movies.
And
Even
the
though it's all
lightsabers.
really good. Yeah.
The main thing that I would say like about the OT is like not necessarily that that the costumes are bad, but it's that they are obviously costumes.
Yeah, I mean,
than, like they're bad costumes.
Yeah, Darth Vader's mask only with only a tiny bit of tweaking, it could be made to look absolutely ridiculous.
Well, the thing about his mask is that it's actually not symmetrical in this first movie. It's not.
Interesting.
And there's it's in one of Lucas's interviews where he mentions that it's not actually symmetrical.
Yeah. There's a couple of other amusing bits of dialogue that I have to briefly mention. One is where Obi-Wan says, "He's not dead, not yet." So he's already got that dry sense of humor that he has in the prequel. And then there's Han
And
Solo.
the dry sense of humor they put in the prequels.
Yeah, and Han Solo has.
There's
was a
no
born-
probability. There's no probably about that. It was the most innovative series ever
Yeah.
because they had to build all of the technology they were using from scratch. And the guys that built Photoshop, they worked on these movies.
Yeah, there's one other bit of dialogue I need to mention quickly, which is Han Solo saying, "It was a boring conversation anyway."
Yeah, Han's just full of snark, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think that without Harrison Ford, these movies would not have been would have been pretty successful, but they would not have been like
They would not have
accessible
gone
to the
viral.
mainstream.
They would not have gone viral. There's no other word for it. They went
Here's-
viral.
Here's the thing: you need Harrison Ford's cynicism to kind of offset Luke and Obi-Wan in that movie. You need the realist talking here Otherwise, you kind of have a tone balance. You kind of have a tone issue.
Yeah.
It would feel too saccharine. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's a very. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Otherwise, it's like the evil galactic empire. You know who the bad guys are right off, and you know that Darth Vader's a bad guy just by looking at him.
Yeah.
And he's the dragon to Peter Cushing. So
Yes.
what he's really supposed to do is stand around and look intimidating, and he does it really
He
well.
does it. Yeah, that's something I didn't notice as much when I saw it the first time when I was younger. Darth Vader doesn't do very much. He doesn't have to do very much. Just by existing, all he has to do is exist.
Yeah.
Well,
basically.
it's sort of like Hannibal in what the fuck is that movie called? I always forget it. Silence of the Lambs. He's only in the movie for 20 minutes, but he leaves such an impression that you think he's in it throughout the entire thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually did, like, to your point, Neph, I actually, like, it seems as though most of, like, the movies of the 70s, the only other space movie that came out was after Star Wars, and that was Alien. I think that was after the possibility had been made clear of what it was.
Yeah.
And most of them are, like, Westerns.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when the first. I can't remember when the first Star Trek film came out.
79.
Yeah, so it was about the same time, but yeah.
2 years after. Like, here's what you got to realize, and I've done study on, and I've kind of noticed this, or read about this. When Star Wars came out, everyone started going to space. Bond. There was cartoons as well, like, what was it? I think Hanna-Barbera did Happy Days Galactic or something. After Star Wars, everyone started going to space because they wanted to catch that. They wanted to be basically do that thing where it's like, hey, we're in space too. We're every bit as cool as, Star Wars.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, Moonraker, the Bond one, is okay, but it's quite clear they're riding on the coattails of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a couple of. I remember a couple of cartoons in space in the early 70s. One of them was the Star Trek animated version. The other one being Josie and the Pussycats went into outer space. I'm not making that up.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, it was a lot of people trying to play catch up.
That was before Star Wars, but I mean, I'm not sure how seriously to take that.
And, well, it's endured for so long because the story is actually one of the simplest plots ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it works. Yeah, it works on a very, very basic
Primal level?
Yeah, very primal level, and it doesn't go like super complex. It doesn't attempt to like go for anything like super high concept. It's basically just good versus
It's just
evil.
black and white. Good versus evil. Yeah.
Pretty
Black
much.
and white morality. Easiest thing ever.
The evil galactic empire. Again.
Yeah. And people.
Don't
Sorry.
you remember? We're supposed to think they're the good guys because of episode 3.
Not really. But it's just. It's a simple concept, simple plot, wonderful characters, even though Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill kind of went away after their Star Wars debut. But, well,
Yeah.
Mark Hamill became a well-known voice actor. And Carrie Fisher has, like, writing credits, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
When I
mostly
s-
written books and script rewrites. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I said evil galactic empire, I was just quoting literally. I wasn't
Yeah,
even.
I
That
know.
wasn't even me.
There are some people who go, but we don't know who to root for. It's right there in the title crawl.
Yeah, it just says it. It just says out right out who the good guys,
Yeah.
who the bad guys are.
Yeah, it says the Empire is evil and the Rebellion are the good guys. So it's obvious who we should be rooting for.
Yeah. Unless you're Wolf or Replica Films.
Yeah.
Indeed. But I think it mainly the I think I just looked up, like, a lot of them are like, you got Planet of the Apes, you got mostly westerns, you got Halloween, you got Westworld early in the decade, and then after that you got Superman the year after Star Wars, which was definitely a tone on shift from the original. From a lot of like the other stuff in the decade, like a lot of it was like westerns and stuff.
Yeah, and then you got Indiana Jones in the 80s.
And the rest of the trilogy in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think the major, like, I think also, like, it's the ending is also really spectacular because it kind of brings together, like, Luke has been striving to become something more throughout the film and is kind of been, like, originally, like, he's stopped by like Owen saying, no, don't go out, we need you here, and then
but that's
Obi-Wan
taken
says,
away.
Yeah, and then
That's
Obi-Wan
taken
says,
away
like,
because he dies.
yeah, and then Obi-Wan like says, hey, you can be something more, here's what you can be, and then
He says, I'm your father figure now.
No.
I'm your mentor now. Okay.
Mentor,
I'm your mentor now. Yeah, I'm your mentor now.
I'm not, yeah, need to step into the larger world. Well, then again, according to Maggie Mae Fish, he might be his daddy.
No, don't. Stop it. No, do not bring her into this. Don't.
Oh, I see. Maybe he has several daddies. Who knows? No comment.
Please leave that craziness out of this discussion. Please.
Yeah. And I think you misspelled bad done. But I think that he hasn't done anything.
What's she getting me? What did I do? I didn't do anything.
I'm the only one who
You did the
invoked
same
Miss
thing.
Fish. I'm the only one who invoked
No.
Miss Fish.
No, 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 no.
Anyway. Anyway. Well, better get back on track.
Yeah. Yeah, we should. So, any thoughts on, like, New Hope? I think that there are two things that sell this film to, like, a wide audience: Harrison Ford and Alec Guinness.
Yeah, that definitely helped.
How dare you not mention Vader?
The
As well
scenes
as Vader,
that Alec Guinness and Harrison Ford were in, they carried.
Yeah. I think that
I personally don't think that's fair. I really don't think that's fair. Every element in this movie had its place. That's the thing. Like, this was not just the work of one person. This is...
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. You're right. They kind of did steal
they
show
stole,
where
they
their
can,
scenes
they
were
steal
in, though.
scenes, yes. But the thing is that as a whole, you can't not this movie. The reason why it was so, and no, Harrison Ford was not big before Star Wars. He was only in
No, he
American
made it.
Graffiti. The man was a carpenter for like
Yeah.
years. In fact, it was Star Wars who really gave him his breakout role, though he'll admit it, but he does not want to acknowledge it. Thing is, Star Wars was kind of the perfect storm of elements coming together, a lot of people who were considered masters of the craft at the time. Like, because of the people, Lucas was consulting at the time.
Yep.
And it was a combination of masters of their craft coming together to do one thing, to make one movie, and that is why it's so well remembered. Like, I'm pretty sure New Hope did better than Empire and Return of the Jedi, not combined, but individually.
Yeah, it did, and I think it was only after the entire trilogy came out that Empire started being considered the best movie of the bunch.
Yeah, it got mixed reviews at the time.
That's something I've never heard. Like,
That's what Wikipedia says. Let's see if I can find that. But that's what Wikipedia says.
I guess maybe like not Carrie, but I guess gave it an air of respectability. Or
Yeah.
at least Alec Guinness gave his sense of respectability, and then Han made it very approachable.
I think what made it approachable was it was not hard sci-fi. Like, you could argue neither is Star Trek, but Star Trek kind of at times would overwhelm you with the technobabble. And people would go like, "What the fuck is this? I just want to watch a fucking TV show."
Yeah,
Star Wars, for
that
the most
was
part,
my
avoids
problem.
that.
That was my problem with Trek.
Okay, I found it. The New York Times said it was like the middle of a comic book, and the Boston Globe says it lacked the spontaneous energy of the original. That was at the time.
And it wouldn't have that spontaneous energy because, Empire Strikes Back is a freaking sequel.
Yes,
Yeah.
precisely. Yes, that's
So
perfectly true.
that criticism is immediately invalid.
Yep.
Anyway, critics they got mixed reviews. That's the point.
Uh-huh.
I think that kind of the thing about it was they didn't say it was bad; they were just kind of dismissive of it.
Yeah, and then it turned out to be everyone's favorite film of the trilogy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still have kind of a fondness for the original, the first film.
Yeah, and the first film definitely has the most solid of the plot of the three movies. But that's because they had no idea that it would blow up the way it did when they were filming it. They had absolutely no idea.
I
They
think
were
that,
planning.
Empire. I think the Empire and New Hope have equally solid plots. I think the New
Oh
Hope's
no,
slightly
no,
simpler.
no. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm saying that this has a complete story.
Hmm.
And it had to have a complete story because they didn't know that it would blow up the way it did. It has a solid beginning, a solid middle, and a solid end. Whereas Empire is more of this is the middle of a comic book. Deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sequel. Like as Cherrick pointed out, it's a sequel, so it's kind of. It's not going to have the spontaneous energy because it's not spontaneous because it's a sequel, precisely. Yeah. So, it's fine.
All three of them have solid plots, but this is the one where where the requirement was there had to be the least plot holes possible, and the story had to be as strong as possible, because otherwise it would not have gone viral the way it did. It was a requirement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it didn't have a very solid plot and really solid editing, then people just wouldn't have gravitated toward it at all.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. But are we on Empire now?
No,
we were talking
we're
about
not.
Empire just now? Okay.
No.
Okay, because we were just talking about Empire. That's why I was wondering. Okay. 'Cause I noticed
And
it wasn't
the-
up, but yeah.
I
Okay.
think it was just brought up
And
because like
this movie was actually saved in the editing room by Mary Lucas.
Marsha.
Yeah, Marsha Lucas. Sorry. Yeah. I knew it started with an M. Yeah.
She's not quite Martha Lucas, but that's because Batman v Superman is a Chad movie by all accounts. Not to smart people, but to people.
Yeah. Oh no, Space Junk. No, he was not disappointed that he made a children's movie. That was his goal. His stated goal, according to interviews at the time, was that he was making movies for 12-year-olds. He had no idea that this would appeal to such a wide audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it worked.
It did.
Yeah.
It worked. I was a little over 12 at the time, I think.
Yeah, I think that like it. I think that like calling it a kids movie is. I think that like it's a family movie rather than like a kids movie, because like
he was specifically aiming for between 10 and 13, but it was a general movie, a family movie, and it was G. And then next movie I think was PG, and that's where he tried to stay.
Picture.
Yeah.
Family picture.
Is it? Would you say it's more a boys' film than a girls' film, or equally, or the two equally?
Oh no, it's definitely more a boys' film. Definitely.
Because the female roles, I mean, Princess Leia, the role of Princess Leia is fine, but it's a little. It's there's more to it than there is to Padme, but there's not quite so much as there is to say Luke.
She's definitely a damsel in distress, but
although
she doesn't act like one.
She takes over right away.
As soon as she's out of herself, she's no longer a damsel in distress.
I mean, as soon as they turn up there, she's like, "All right, let's go," you know.
Yeah.
She takes over immediately, and Han Solo doesn't like that.
And it's like, you have no plan to get us out of here, do you? Spies the garbage chute, goes, I've got an idea, takes the gun, and then makes a way out for them.
Yeah.
Saved by the droids.
Well, the droids aren't in any real danger. They're not with them. So
Yeah, I know. That's why they're able to save them.
Uh-huh.
There's an interesting comment in the chat, but more relevant to when we're comparing it to the prequels, which comes up later on in the Prezi.
Yeah, I definitely think that like taking this will probably take into account all the prequels as well, kind of like just in terms of like how the prequels fit into the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And I think that like he did try with Phantom Menace, but I think that George attempted for depth, but George can't really do depth very well.
Neither can he really do dialogue.
Yeah, he needs other people helping him out with.
Yeah, he's only intermittently good with dialogue. And I think for all the original trilogy, I don't remember for the first film, but definitely for Empire and Return of the Jedi, he had help. So he had lots of help for those. So, what's the story with the first film? Did he do all the dialogue for the first film, or did he have help with that?
I believe that he had a lot more help for.
Yeah,
that one
he
than
did
for
have
the
a
prequels.
lot more help.
Okay.
I think what he had was an outline, but not really any dialogue, and that's why it's like not as bad as the prequels, which is where he had complete control.
I think just I think it was I think like I think like if he were to do it again, like he probably wouldn't have done it that way, because I don't think that he really wanted to write / direct the prequels that much. I think that he wanted to produce them and let somebody
Yeah.
else do it, but then
Yeah,
people didn't
that's
really.
what he wanted, but then nobody told him no.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
because
like
he
a
was
bunch
there.
I think a bunch of people actually told him no, and that kind of made him like, okay, I guess I have to do it myself.
Yeah, he was on set the
No,
whole
no, no,
time.
no. No, that's not what I mean.
Okay.
What I mean is that everyone that was on set with him were all yes men.
That's probably true. Yeah. I'm thinking more along the lines of like he approached a number of directors and said, "Hey, can you will you direct Phantom Menace?" So a lot of them were like, "No, George, Star Wars is your baby. Why should I you should do it." I think
Oh,
that
you're
was
talking
the-
about. Oh, you're talking about Phantom Menace. I was thinking of the original trilogy. Sorry.
No.
yeah.
I think he had someone helping him direct this one, but I can't remember who off the top of my head.
Yeah, I know he had help with. I'm pretty sure he had help with Empire, and I know he had help with Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Erwin
Um,
Kershner directed
yeah, Kershner.
Empire,
Oh,
which is why it's
yes,
shot
yes.
very differently.
I believe
Oh yeah,
Spielberg shot this one. I believe.
and
Yeah, so they were good
Marquardt.
buddies at the time.
Yeah, and it was Marquardt for the original Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then it was unfortunate, but he had to direct all three of the prequels.
Yeah, even though like I don't know if I wouldn't say that it's fair to call George Lucas a bad director per se. He's an archaic director in some ways. Like he prefers an archaic style.
Yes, I can agree with that.
Since
And
like he likes
he's-
acting from the 1930s and 40s.
And he's more of a storyteller than a director. I believe.
Yeah. He
And-
doesn't work well with actors. And well, I think he works fine with actors, but the problem is his tastes are in the 1940s. Like an acting style that we had moved well beyond by the 90s. And which was when Phantom Menace was being made.
Nope. Phantom Menace came out 2000.
Well, it was being made in the 90s. It came out in 2000, but it was made in the 90s.
I don't think we have anything else to say.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace was released in '99.
Oh yeah, my mistake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
It's only a year's difference.
yeah.
That's kind of important because film
Yeah.
kind of changed quite a bit between the two.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, because of Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
It is definitely an
Okay,
interesting
Empire.
I think
Why was
a
this
lot of
film
why it's so
successful?
Yeah, I think like a lot of people wanted more Star Wars and they got it. I think that also like the thing that really helped is actually putting the Battle of Hoth at the beginning.
Yes, definitely. That
Because-
definitely helped.
Because with starting the Battle of Hoth off at the beginning, it allowed the audience to kind of ride through most of the rest of the movie where like admittedly not that much happens, but he was able to basically use Erwin Kershner and Lawrence Kasdan were able to allow the the people in the audience to kind of coast off of the high that they got from the Battle of Hoth and the Wampa attack.
Yeah. The thing about that, they had to put that in because literally the day before, Mark Hamill got into a car accident and his face got scarred.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So there had to be a reason for why he now had a scar on his face.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and like it just makes I think the ability and also like it seemed like Mark Hamill's actually acting ability like had improved dramatically. Like he was pretty good in the first movie, but this was, I think, the thing that really helped his career and helped him to become like at least like iconic as Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it gave him a more. The story gave him a degree of conflict. I mean, there was some conflict in the first, but there's more conflict in the second and third films for him to deal with.
Mhm.
Yeah. Plus, he has more agency because he is more confident in himself. So.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes.
And also like his like and also like how he interacts with Yoda. Like just the fact that he is interacting with a Muppet, a who like just most other actors would have a hard time interacting off of, but he sells it.
The thing about Yoda is that his face is actually Frank Oz. Frank Oz ended up doing a self-portrait in putty or something, I think. Yeah, when he was sculpting Yoda, he ended up making it a self-portrait.
Yeah, it's very expressive. Yoda has more personality than some humans in the series.
Yeah.
That's not hard in some of the later films.
Yes.
Well, it's actually not hard in most of the prequels. Because like
I'm not just talking about the prequels, though.
I know. They're actually like I think the only like really bad actor in the sequels, to be perfectly honest, is Daisy Ridley. I think that everybody else is fine. I just think they're given bad direction for a lot of it, at least.
I think Daisy Ridley's been in other stuff under different people, and she's done wonderfully. I haven't seen any of her other films, but
She hasn't been in that much. She's the only film that I'm aware of her being in is Murder on the Orient Express.
Is she the one who there was an interview that Anomaly was quoting from? I think he had clips from it too, where she was saying, I don't know, that they had no idea, that the people had no idea that she was Palpatine's daughter or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like they were asking her questions about who she wanted to be related to, and she kept going, "Yeah, okay, yeah." So you can tell that she is not.
She doesn't care.
She doesn't care. So
It's kind of it was a paycheck job, and I think
yeah,
I think that also like Ryan Johnson gave her nothing to work with. Because
with it,
like
JJ at least tried.
Yeah. Which is kind of an interesting contrast to Luke, bringing it back to the topic at hand.
Yeah,
Luke has a lot of struggle in terms of he's a little bit whiny.
he's still growing out of it. That's fine.
Yeah, he's a kid.
Yeah, he's a weak kid.
By this
Wee
point,
babby.
I think, in the first film, Luke is supposed to be 9th 19, almost 20. And in this film, he's 21. No, not 21. 22, almost 23. So yeah, still classed as a kid. Barely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. He's a wee kid who's
He's a
just
wee laddie.
just
Uh-oh.
working on becoming he's working on
He
becoming
hasn't
a man.
quite found himself yet.
Yeah, he's working on being a man. And he does a much better job. He does a good job of portraying that, especially off of like he's mostly in that swamp across from like he's having to act off of a puppet, which is, I imagine, is kind of like is not necessarily as hard as, say, working off of just a CGI of CGI,
Yeah.
but it is still kind of difficult because it's harder to act off of something that isn't a human being than it is to act off of a human.
Well, according to Lucas, if he'd had the technology, he would have had Yoda bouncing around energetically the way he had Yoda fighting Dooku in Attack the Clones. But since it was Muppets can't really do much.
I think that actually was a good limitation.
I completely agree with you, but that's what Lucas said in one of his later interviews. I think it was.
It's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I think that George Lucas's tastes are questionable.
Yeah, but yeah, the puppet thing works fine, and sometimes limitations not only are a problem, not only are not a difficulty for art, but actually make the art better. In
Yeah.
that applies not just to film, but everything.
And another thing about that is that the set was like 20 feet off the ground, and the Yoda puppet never left the climate-controlled environment of the studio. Unlike the one that Johnson had made. It's like,
yeah,
dude,
Yeah.
you don't take puppets out onto you don't take them off. You don't take them to location. You keep them in the studio.
I thought it was kind of just something wrong with the studio.
Oh no. He actually had the Yoda puppet on site.
Jesus. That thing is like 40 years old at that point.
Oh no, he had a new one made.
Is that why it looks so weird? Because
No,
the Muppet
it was made to the original specifications. It was the salty air that did that.
Yeah.
Because that did not look right. No matter what, because I thought it was bad CG at first.
No.
Yeah. It was unfortunately a puppet. It was that got ruined by the
sea air.
Yeah, because it looked like when I was looking at the director and the Jedi, it's just like, wait, that looks like they're in a set. That doesn't look like they're in like the elements.
No, that puppet was in the elements.
I guess I just brought it in and didn't think to make a new one.
Well, that is just one of the questionable things that Johnson did. He actually had that sea cow thing airlifted onto the island. Remember?
Yeah, and that was just like, Brian, please.
Why do you want to have everything on location? What do you think studios are for?
Oh no, it's just like, why do you even want to have that scene?
Yeah, he had that scene instead of Luke mourning Han.
Yeah. Lots of really weird decisions.
But anyway, back to Empire, because we strayed from topic again. Oops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think that, like, but also, like, I think that the also, like, Vader in this movie comes into his own more so than he did in, say, in New Hope. He's kind of just a Gestapo dude with like less vicious Gestapo dude with a breathing issue.
Well, think about it like this: he has something to do in this movie. Like
Yeah.
like genuinely, he has a goal he wants to accomplish.
Yeah, he wants Luke. It's a simple goal, but it's a goal. And we get to see Palpatine for the first time.
Yep.
And we find out that he's the dragon to the Emperor.
Well, we already knew that from the beginning. We knew that the Emperor existed from.
Well, yeah, but we didn't know where Vader fell into the hierarchy. We just knew that he was somewhere in the military, and then out comes Empire, which says, no, he's actually the apprentice of the Emperor. So he is out of the chain of command, but also at the very top.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what makes me think that him being under Tarkin in the first movie was actually part of a punishment for not accomplishing some goal.
Either that, or he's not really under Tarkin. I think that they seem like
he obeys Tarkin.
He obeys
Tarkin gives them orders, and Vader obeys them.
He obeys them, but I got the feeling just from the delivery that Vader was obeying as a courtesy.
Yeah.
That's just from the delivery.
It seemed like a mutual respect between rough equals, but it's like he's saying, "Hey, please don't choke my officer out."
As you wish.
Well, it seemed to me that Tarkin was nominally in charge.
He ran the station, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ran the station. So in that sense, yes.
It's kind of like I guess assistant managers going into each other's fiefs.
That works.
Yeah, it's manners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever read Vader's Book of Etiquette? Highly recommended.
I can't say that I have, actually.
Highly recommended.
Yeah. She doesn't want to watch them. She's fine to rant.
Yeah.
She's fine to, even though, like, she hasn't seen 8 or 9 from beginning to end. She's just seen bits of it.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces from watching other people's commentaries and complaints about them.
And
how many are there?
There are
a whole lot.
There are 5 Disney movies, and I think the best one's Rogue One, and that movie is just painfully mediocre and lame.
Yeah, that's not, because at this point, that's not a high bar to get over.
They've been cranking them out then, apparently.
Yeah, one a year for a while, and then they also have like a TV show. Actually a couple of TV shows now, since they did Clone Wars season 1.
7.
Season 7. It's Clone Wars season 7, and a few other and then The Bad Batch and Mandalorian. I haven't heard good things about Bad Batch. Definitely not good.
I don't know
things about
why they made.
Mandalorian.
I have no idea why they made that spin-off. Like, I don't think anyone really wanted it. Hell, we didn't even know about these characters until season 7 of Clone Wars, and even then, it's like, why are you making a spin-off on this?
I personally, I'd rather have a spin-off with Commander Cody or Captain Rex. They're much more interesting characters.
Yeah, I think that kind of like, certain conspiracy theorists would go with the idea of the neurodivergency representation idea just for the sake of it, but I'm not necessarily one of those people who believes in that kind of thing. I think that Disney are just dumb and want to chase the current craze. Yeah. That's well, Rogue One has a good ending, but it's mostly a slog with really flat at poorly defined and developed characters. We'll talk about that one eventually.
My feeling, that's the only one of the Disney movies that I'm gonna force myself to watch.
I don't know if we'll like take a break or whatever and do some other things in the meantime. I know like we're doing Transformers 4 on next Sunday, which
4 or 5?
4.
Oh,
Transformers 4. We could do 4 and 5 in the same stream. We just need to watch 5 before then.
Just so you please don't tell us at the last minute. Don't up and tell us at 9:30 at night. Hey, we're doing the sequels now.
I haven't done that since you asked me not to.
That's true. I'm just doing some reinforcement. That's all.
Yeah,
That's a reminder.
Just a gentle reminder. I'm not yelling. I'm just reminding you politely reminding.
Makes sense. I think that was just an aberration. I just lost track of time doing other things on that day. So my apologies. Again.
A word to the wise is sufficient.
Yeah. But kind of like, and the nice thing is like I know like Neph like doesn't want to see it, and that'll kind of like make things a little bit easier.
Yeah.
In terms of like scheduling stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I think that without Empire, like Star Wars would not be like. I think like Star Wars like wouldn't be as respectable.
No.
Because Empire very much like leads into a
Return.
Well, not just that, but I think it also like the main thing that like makes it stand out is the "I am your father" moment. Like people's minds were blown.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Until Return came out too, everyone thought he was lying because that's what Sith do.
Sith weren't a thing at this point.
Yes, they were.
Well, I'd never heard. I don't think I'd ever heard of the Sith. Maybe are they mentioned at all in the original film? Not the redone version since then, but the original in 1977. Because I don't remember it being mentioned.
What I remember from watching the video cassettes. Yes, I'm not old.
That's
what
fine.
I remember from that is that he called Vader a Jedi that fell. So, Dark Jedi? Yeah. The term before the
So Sith was something that was introduced in the EU, as far as I know.
No, not really. I believe the term Sith was introduced in one of the novelizations of the movie.
Oh, okay.
So not technically EU, but kind of.
Yeah,
It's
so
like-
the film
It's like an in-between step.
So the film itself says that the film itself says the dark side of the Force and all that, which is what was later defined as Sith, but it wasn't said that way at the time. But I can remember.
I think that the term Sith was introduced in the Empire Strikes Back novelization. Yeah, I think that's where that came from.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was either that or Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which is a little older than that.
Okay, so okay, this is interesting. So it was in the so it was originally in the rough draft and in the novelization as Dark Lord of the Sith for Darth Vader. That's interesting.
Yep.
Okay, so it wasn't the novelization.
That's where that came from.
Yeah.
And I believe it was in the title crawl. I believe that was where it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it probably was supposed to be there, but it wasn't. Like, and then from there, like, Star Wars was just rapidly expanded by various different things.
The first time the term was used in a movie was episode 1.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't used until Phantom Menace was the first time that it was officially used in a movie. Any other kind of like even though Confused Matthew is a certified moron, he like still has something of a point in terms of what is a Sith. This was not in the original movie. What is going on? So we'll do his prequel videos at some point because it's just like,
oh dear Lord.
Okay.
But the concept wasn't official.
Yeah, it wasn't canon. It was something that was like put in later.
Yeah, the word didn't exist, but the concept existed in ovo, existed in embryo, you might say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's right. They did use the term. It was always Dark Jedi before Phantom Menace came out. In everything, it was Dark Jedi, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, and everything I read before Phantom Menace came out, the Sith-y person, was always called a Dark Jedi. Or a Fallen Jedi.
He turned to the dark side of the Force.
Yeah.
And I think like part of that, and kind of going back to the original like point, when Vader tells Luke, "I am your father," like a lot of people, like you were saying, Neph, were in denial because they didn't want it to be true.
Yeah. And they didn't learn that, that is the truth until Return came out.
Yeah, they needed somebody they trusted like Yoda to
say, yes, he was telling the truth.
Yeah, I don't remember ever doubting it particularly. It was just like kind of weird, but I don't remember doubting it.
I don't remember doubting it either. Then again, I grew up on these movies, and I don't remember the first time I watched them.
So my story is actually weird. Did not watch these movies before I read this little novelization thing of the entire movies altogether. So I watched a little children. I didn't have the movies available to me, like because my family just didn't own them. So what we did have was this novelization thing called that just how do I say it? Just like had the basic structure of the whole thing of Luke's story, nothing else in it. And so I knew from that that Vader was Luke's dad. Have any of you seen like the parody trailer for Star Wars Revenge of the Sith?
I don't remember seeing it, and I don't particularly care because I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Well, it's mainly just because I watched it just before the movie came out, and now it's actually even funnier because there's actually a parody point in that movie where Padme, pregnant, is faced with Darth Vader, like on Empire. She's like, "No, you killed my baby's daddy." No, I am your baby's daddy.
Stop, please. Let's not get off track.
I've not seen that one, so maybe we can look at it sometime.
Later.
Yes.
Later. Okay.
I just kind of think it's funny. But yeah, any other thoughts on Empire Strikes Back? Mostly we haven't talked about the Han and Leia's story, which is kind of an interesting deviation where it's a chase throughout, where they're just trying to stay ahead of the Empire and they're dogging them. It's very, very tension filled. And then you have Luke training with
this movie does what Rian Johnson wanted to do, but way better.
The part of it's just Rian Johnson is just an uncreative hack who wanted to rip off old things and couldn't think of a smart way to do them.
Yeah, I feel like romance is maybe not Lucas's strong point, but that the romance here is somewhat better than the one in the prequels.
Well, it's better than the one in the prequels because he had a whole ton of help with these movies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He mostly was just on as a producing credit, but he wasn't around. He wasn't as much he wasn't involved in the day-to-day of this movie as he was with New Hope. He farmed it out to Erwin Kirshner for directing duties, and writing duties went to Lawrence Kasdan.
Yeah, but of course he was on set the whole time, if I'm not mistaken. So he was around.
He was still deeply involved. He just wasn't in charge of the script.
Yeah,
which is a good thing.
Or the directing,
yeah.
And
really.
the thing is, the scene where Leia says, "I love you" to Han. Han was actually supposed to say, "I love you too," but Harrison Ford was like,
"No,
no.
You can write this crap.
No, that's not it.
Wouldn't it be a ride if you did say that?
No. That was actually improv.
Yeah,
that was actually improv because Harrison Ford looked at it, said, Han would not say this, and went with something else.
Yeah.
Yep. What's this bit? We don't have time for a committee. What is that?
I'm not a committee!
I'm not a committee.
Yeah,
is that Leia and Solo?
The witty dialogue is definitely one of my favorite points of this movie. And the fight between Luke and Vader is definitely up there.
Yeah. Oh, there's another bit with Vader. I'm altering the deal. I'm altering the deal.
Pray I don't alter it further.
Yeah.
Worse and worse all the time.
He just says everything.
Lando is just amazing.
He just says everything so matter of factly, Vader. He just so understated. It's just the perfect delivery.
His snark is understated as well. It's just wonderful.
I'm altering the deal.
Yeah, I think like James Earl Jones is I think the main reason why David Prowse is a very physically imposing person just because David Prowse is a giant. He's really tall.
The thing about David Prowse though is that he had a really thick Southern accent. So it was like
was it
redneck
a Southern
farmer.
accent?
I remember.
Imagine all of Vader's lines said by a Texan, basically.
I think it was actually I think sorry. You're trying to say something, Bright Lord.
I thought he was British.
West Country, I think.
Not quite, but his accent was really thick, and the lines did not sound imposing at all because he sounded like a farmer.
Yeah, he sounded like a farmer, but from the West Country. I don't see it in my notes, but that's what I'm remembering.
Huh? Yeah, because
that was something in one of Lucas's interviews. He said he was listening to it, and he said, "I've got to get a voice actor in here," and he managed to pick the best voice actor for the job.
David Prowse is English.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't change my point that he had
His
really
voice was
thick.
not work.
Yeah,
His voice didn't work.
yeah.
His voice wasn't imposing enough. He would have sounded like Davos in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't want to keep my own. I want to keep my finger bones if you don't mind.
Yeah, and it's like, but what I kept thinking just listening to him say that was someone like I don't know. Here's something way off topic. Applejacks. The way Applejack speaks in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. That's what I always thought that his accent sounded like. Because she's got a really thick Southern accent. So maybe not a Southern accent, but really thick like hers.
Yeah.
And yes, I am also a girly girl, and I do like My Little Pony. Sorry, guys.
Lame.
Freak dread.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. West Country accent.
Well, I lived in Ireland, so what do I know about that?
Nothing. You're Irish, so you wouldn't.
Oh,
But yeah, his voice was just the wrong voice for the role. Of course, that David Prowse was completely heartbroken when he first heard what Vader actually sounded like.
Oh, I have to point out from the chat, Becca, Samwise Vader.
Oh, yeah, that kind of accent.
So
yes.
this is what the ring offered Sam.
What, Darth Vader?
It's Star Wars.
Wouldn't it be a riot? Wouldn't it be a riot if he succumbed to the lure of the ring and then he turned into Darth Vader?
Wouldn't it be Pegasus? Wouldn't it be Pegasus, not Brony?
No, I'm not. Brony is the male version.
Hence Pegasus,
No.
rather than Brony.
Well, yes, but also no. Because I don't associate with those crazies. I'm just a fan of the show. Well, more a fan of the music than the show, because the music is just wonderful. Anyway, off topic. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh.
Pardon me.
But yeah, let's at Return of the Jedi, which I think actually let me actually check, because I think Return of the Jedi was extremely successful in terms of the box office, as far as I recall.
All three of them completely. For all three of them, the box office blew up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think the
All
main
three.
thing that made back the money was the toy sales.
Easily.
Yeah, easily.
Because with the box office was pretty good, but just the fact that Lucas himself owned all of the toy rights rather than the studio, he was able to just utterly just destroy the market and just made billions for himself. To the point where Star Wars was Disney basically bought Star Wars for pennies compared to what it was actually worth, because it was worth 36 billion, and then they bought it for 4 billion.
So does he still have the rights to the toys?
No, he sold everything.
Oh, that was stupid of him.
But he was supposed to be getting royalties. He was still supposed to be getting royalties.
I think he gets a lot of I think they got him a substantial number of shares in the company.
They did $2 billion worth.
Yeah, so his worth is actually more now than it was back then. And you are correct that the first movie made actually 300 million more than Return of the Jedi. It made $775 million as opposed to 475 million.
Well, that's how the trend is supposed to go. I believe.
The law of diminishing returns has kind of been killed by Marvel. Which is kind of interesting.
Kind of, yeah, but at the same time, Marvel's a weird beast. It is a strange beast that defies comprehension.
You're not wrong, actually. You're definitely not wrong. But yeah, it's actually it actually was the lowest grossing of the original trilogy.
Which Return?
Yeah, because Empire made 75 million more. But these movies were by comparison to movies nowadays, 33 million for Empire, 11 million for New Hope, and for Return of the Jedi, between 32 and 42 million. That's still a really good return on investment.
No, that's 10 times. You can't do you couldn't do any better, especially in 85.
Yeah. And Return of the Jedi was actually the highest grossing movie of that year, so
not surprising.
No, it's not. All three of these movies went viral, to use our modern term.
Yeah, they did gangbusters. I would agree
Yeah.
with that.
So what's there to say specifically about Return of the Jedi?
I think the main thing with Return of the Jedi is just the fact that it ended things in a way that was satisfying and left a good taste in people's mouths.
It ended on a really, really, really high point.
Yeah, I mean, they could have stopped right there.
They did for 30 years.
They did, that's true. They did.
No, it was literally 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, at the time, I remember people in the 80s saying there are going to be 12 films. I was like, no way, they're not going to be 12 films. Come on, no. And now, I don't know how many there are now, but there must be something like that now.
No, there are 12 films.
Yeah, there are 12 now, and I guess they're going to put out more.
They're only gonna. There's only one film on the docket right now for Star Wars Rogue Squadron by Patty
Oh,
Jenkins of
Oh
all
God.
people. Which, like, after Wonder Woman 1984, I'm just like, no way is this going to be good.
I'm
There's
not
no
watching
way.
it. I'm not
No.
seeing it. And
I'm
I
not gonna
grew
watch
up
it
with
either.
I grew up with the Rogue Squadron games. Those are some of my favorite games of all time. I am not going to see this.
Yeah,
Maybe someday we'll do it as a movie night.
it'll
No.
be a while.
It'll be a while.
No,
Good.
I refuse. I refuse. I refuse. I refuse. No.
Well, you're fine, Neph. I'll find someone else to torture. It like Wonder Woman 1984 was just a unique kind of weird bad. Like, but we've already talked about like why Wonder Woman 1984 is a piece of garbage.
It
Hilarious
just sounds
garbage.
stupid. The whole thing
Oh.
concept sounded imbecilic. I haven't seen it, of course, but the concept sounded stupid.
Oh yeah, it is so dumb, and just like Patty Jenkins, like Wonder Woman, the first one, not a good movie, really. It's actually very poorly written. There's a lot of bad writing in it, but Wonder Woman 1984 just makes it's just so bad. But it's bad in like a Batman Returns kind of just like she got to go nuts with her project and just decides to do like everything and just throw like the whole kitchen sink at this awful movie. But
Yeah.
we'll talk about we talked about that at length with School of Movies. Even though like School of Movies were like criticizing it, they were criticizing it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, we got into that already, and we got into pans and stuff already.
Yeah.
We already did the pans. No comment.
Yeah. But I think like this really like George Lucas was able to like with the special editions, he was able to just kind of re-release these movies and just make like several $1 million, like just keep repeatedly making money off of them. Despite the fact that they weren't in theaters anymore, they were still able to like make lots and lots of money by him re-releasing them in theaters, and probably mostly because he was able to just fund them out of his own pocket, which were at this point because of like toy sales for 30 years, toy sales, and I think at least 2 or 3 re-releases in theater. He was able to make a lot of money. Like George Lucas, basically with the prequels, had unlimited time and money to make the prequels, and he was able to do a lot of things because of the money that he got, like including making one of my favorite fantasy films of all time, Willow, which is basically like Star Wars with a wizard drag in some ways, but I still like it.
Okay, can we please return to the topic?
Yep, I'm staring at my notes right now.
Any other thoughts on any thoughts on Return of the Jedi before we because I think like the main things with Return of the Jedi is the like Jabba's palace is something that immediately catches your attention.
Yeah. And it made sense for them to go back to Tatooine, which was the only time in the original trilogy that they reused a location.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking at my notes, and one bit of dialogue. Once again, I have to refer to Darth Vader. The Emperor is coming. The Emperor is not as forgiving as I.
Yeah.
So I have to at least mention that one.
Yeah.
And
I think that's interesting to like that it really kind of takes like 4 people to play Darth Vader in this movie. Like because you have David Prowse being the physically imposing chap. You have
James Earl Jones being the voice.
and then you have Bob Anderson, the swordsman, and then to do all of Vader's fight scenes.
Yeah.
And then you have Sebastian Shaw, who was the face of Vader at the end.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, let's see. Written by Kasdan and Lucas wrote it, but I'm guessing that Kasdan wrote most of the good bits, probably.
I think Kasdan and Lucas wrote Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
Okay, and they convinced Ford to return. They were talking about killing him, but Lucas didn't want to because he wanted to sell merchandise, and he wouldn't have been able to sell merchandise for Han Solo if Han Solo was dead. If Han Solo were dead. And Endor is set in the Redwoods.
Yeah, up in California. And the thing about where they were, that area was going to get destroyed anyway. They were either going to burn it down or they were going to cut all the trees down.
What the? It wasn't protected?
That area was going to be culled. So, no, not that particular area.
Oh, that's a pity. I actually remember the Redwoods. We went camping there.
I know. We went to Redwoods National Park, too. A long time ago. It was great.
Yeah, long ago. And what's that? Creek something. Something Creek. Something Creek. No, it had a P. It had a P in it, I think. The one with the deer. I don't remember. Anyway.
No, a deer.
Get back on topic, please. I'm going to be late for my next thing anyway.
All right.
When 900 years you are, not look so good you will.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yoda and Vader, I think, are two of the best parts of this movie.
Yeah, and we were making fun of the Ewoks a little bit earlier. I guess they're okay.
They're a weird tone problem with this movie.
Yeah, a little bit like...
I think what Lucas was trying to go for with the Ewoks is that in sufficient numbers, technology will be beaten.
Yeah, we were talking last night about teddy bear picnics and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed that.
I'll put it up on Rumble. Their Rumble's pretty lenient on copyright, unlike YouTube.
Yeah, and besides, what we're doing is transformative anyway, so it shouldn't get any bots.
Yeah. One minor defect, Leia, the role of Leia and her being found out to be Vader's father is kind of brushed over, kind of like it's like mentioned, but it's like it's not. I mean, I know that Luke is the main character, and Luke is the. He's the one with the closest. He and Vader are the ones with the closest thing to a character arc, but still.
Yeah. I think Han Solo does have a character arc, but it's more of a. It's kind of like it's finished in 2. It's finished in 2, and then it's
they were gonna Harrison Ford wasn't even gonna be in 3, and they persuaded him to come back. Yeah, so it's a pity that Princess Leia, that bit didn't get developed as much.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is mainly a boy. These are mainly films that are like 55% for boys and 45% for girls, maybe.
We've seen what happens when they try to change that.
Padme? Oh, you're thinking of Rey, actually, yeah. You're probably thinking of Rey.
Well, it's like, you shouldn't be trying to cater to people that these
Don't like
films
you.
do not appeal to. There are gonna be girls like me who adore this series, and if you change it, you change what we adore about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not fussed about having Ray be female so long as the writing and stuff are good. But I'm guessing you
Yeah.
probably aren't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't care what gender the characters are, as long as the characters are well written.
Yeah, as far as I actually did do like a reading of my audition to Smudcast where I actually did like use some of a couple of Ray and Finn and put them into a scenario and change the characters around, and they work fine. It's just that Ryan Johnson and J.J. Abrams are secretly monkeys with human suits.
Yeah, they're not good at writing. They think they are, but they're not.
Yeah. It's annoying.
So let's see. Luke tell Leia. Oh, there is a bit where Vader finds out about Leia, and then he wants to tempt her too.
Well, no, that's a threat against Leia to get Luke to move back to action,
Yeah,
because Luke is hiding and he doesn't want to fight. Vader wants him to fight.
yeah, he's trying to psych out Luke. Yeah,
I wouldn't use the term psych out.
Well, he's taunting him.
Yeah, he's baiting him and taunting him, not psyching him out.
well, he's using psychological techniques on him. When he gets to put it in a very fancy language.
Yeah, and well, there is a very good reason why the fans of the EU like Mara Jade way more than well, they like Mara Jade if they're smart as much as they hate Rey.
Who? What? Where? Why?
If
How?
they even know about Mara Jade. Most
Yeah.
people-
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. I gotta get going. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think
Yeah.
the main thing
Have
that
a
makes
riot.
people love this movie is the conflict between Vader and Luke. Everything is pretty good. I think it isn't like the space battle really stands out as something that's impressive, but I think that the main thing that stands out is Vader and Luke. Vader
Yeah.
and
Yes.
Luke is the main selling point of
Yeah.
Yeah.
this, movie.
The fight with the Ewoks is entertaining. It's funny. But yeah,
It's
What
amusing.
got my-
It's cute.
what got me watching Return was Luke and Vader. Definitely.
Luke and Vader are pretty much. I mean, the main selling point of the entire trilogy, perhaps.
It's kind of like a tonal differentiation between these two moments where you have like pretty deep conflict of a father against his son trying not to kill his father. And
Yeah.
kind of the backdrop of a teddy bear fight in
Yeah, comic relief. I mean, I guess you can sort of see it could get a little unrelenting if it's serious the whole time. So I guess they wanted to cut between. That's why they cut between the two.
And
I guess.
the wonderful thing about these characters is that you could have swapped Luke for Leia and nothing would change except maybe maybe a little bit of the dialogue. Like, instead of Vader going, "If you will not turn, then perhaps she will." He would have instead said, "Perhaps he will," if it was Leia. And Leia, being more like their father than Luke is, still would have reacted the way Luke would have. Well, the way Luke did.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. I think that like there would just kind of be some differences in terms of like upbringing or stuff, unless like they decided to like. I think it would have been interesting if Luke and Leia had both been involved in turning Vader. I think that it's kind of interesting that never happened because I think that like that would have been an interesting scene if
Well-
Vader found out he tortured his own daughter. I think that would have been a really dramatic and interesting scene. But
Yeah,
it's fine.
yeah, it would have been. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Well, my thought is that he finds out that Leia is his daughter, but he doesn't have time to actually internalize it because right now he's fighting Luke and he's trying to get Luke to fight, and then after that, Palpatine is torturing his son, and he has no time to think about anything but saving him.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
So, he probably had that breakdown after becoming one with the Force.
Probably, which is kind of interesting if kind of heaven in the Star Wars universe contains your mental breakdown, mental breakdowns. That's actually like horrifying.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure that had he known that Leia was his daughter, he probably still would have tortured her, but he would not have used the droid. He'd have used a different technique. Something that wouldn't have
Where are we?
Yeah. Well, it's
he
kind of
was
just
still really steeped in the dark side. And it took him what was it? 4 years to climb back out of the hole he'd found himself in at the end of Revenge. Well, no, not 4. Yeah, 4. Because he didn't learn about Luke until I think just before or a couple months before Empire. I think.
Ooh, Vader.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, Vader knows that Luke exists in the original film, and he knows that his unusual abilities.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't know that Luke's name is Skywalker in the original film. He doesn't learn it until.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
What was
Everything's
that?
better than the freaking porgs.
Yeah, that's because of porgs are freaking creepy.
Yeah, I think we're done with this part.
Yep, I think that we are. But I think like it would be kind of a remiss to kind of like not say like the "you were right" scene. I think that very much like
Yeah, the
that's a
you were
really
right
powerful
scene,
moment.
yes. And it wasn't just Luke that was right. It was their mother, too, because she's the one that tells Obi-Wan they're still good in it.
Yeah. Who did? Padme?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I had to step away.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that the main thing like here is like the characters of they're not like super complex. I think the most complicated out of all of them are Vader and Luke. The Emperor is a very simple, straightforward bad guy who is very competent, but he's just evil for the sake of being evil. Lando Calrissian is kind of a Han Solo, but a little bit
A
more
more
suave and
sophisticated Han Solo.
yeah, it's kind of like the I think like to use a car analogy, Lando's a Tesla, or a Ferrari, as opposed to Han, who's like a pretty serviceable minivan.
No, I'd say Han is a Toyota, whereas Lando's the Ferrari.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, that works.
And all of these characters are rather simple characters, but in truth, I prefer the simple characters and simple motivations. And I enjoy that there is a lack of gray morality.
Hmm.
Because it is obvious who you should be rooting for and who you should want destroyed.
Yeah, that says it right in the title crawl.
Yeah.
It says right there, evil galactic empire. There's no subtlety about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think the most complex of the characters is Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vader. Luke has a teeny tiny bit of complexity.
Yeah.
Sort of, teeny bit. The others are kind of slightly sketched. Really, they're fine, but they're lightly sketched. It's fine not to have deep character. Your characterization doesn't have to be deep for a good work of art. You can have a perfectly serviceable one with relatively shallow characters, so long as they're not completely incoherent.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whereas in Game of Thrones, they got kind of incoherent, but we're not gonna hop down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a reason that Vader and Palpatine are two of my all-time favorite villains.
They look cool.
Yeah.
Grand Chad Thrawn. Yeah, Thrawn is.
He's talking about Grand Admiral Thrawn from the Thrawn trilogy. The first Thrawn trilogy, not the Disney Thrawn trilogies, the first one.
Oh, okay. So something that's not in the films.
Yeah.
They eventually brought him into Rebels, and they're probably going to bring him into Mandalorian.
I don't trust. Yeah, Thrawn is one of those characters where everyone else is playing 2D chess, and he's playing 5-dimensional chess, and on top of that, he's at least 10 moves ahead of you.
Yeah, it's a little. He's like a military version of Varys or Littlefinger. To use Valerian, to use something that you're familiar with, or he's kind of like a less like, I guess, like, yeah, Varys or Littlefinger. Only he's a military Varys or Littlefinger.
And the only time he ever gives ground is if he has a strategic reason for it.
Yeah. But I think, I think like the characters really do stand out as the thing that like really makes these movies, because without like the charming characters, and especially like Luke's character arc, I don't think these movies would work.
Yeah.
They would have been like just spectacle movies alone.
Yeah, I mean they would have worked as spectacle maybe. I mean the spectacle is quite good, but I mean,
it wouldn't have stood the test of time.
No, it wouldn't have.
No, because spectacle they can do spectacle better than that now, probably anyway.
Yeah, like on it, like with like most of it, like pretty much like most space movies, like even though it's really bad, Jupiter Ascending is like has more spectacle than these movies in terms of like a lot of the other stuff. But I don't know if we'll ever. We'll cover Jupiter Ascending
later.
Another time.
Later.
Yeah.
It's bees are genetically attracted to royalty. What the heck, Wachowskis?
But Return of the Jedi, there's not even that much spectacle.
Yeah.
And while spectacle is all well and good, which is what Disney turned the franchise into, those of us who are the old school fans who have bookcases full of source material for you, Kathleen Kennedy. We're here for the plot and the characters before we're here for the spectacle.
Yeah. One small thing about Return of the Jedi that we ought to mention is that it was going to be called Revenge of the Jedi, and then they nixed that because the Jedi don't seek revenge. That's just one teeny thing.
Yeah, Lucas. That was Lucas's firm decision, but
Yes.
they went with revenge because they needed to have a shocking title or something like that.
I guess that's why they wanted revenge, but then he luckily he nixed that. And Revenge of the Sith is a callback, I guess, to that. But then the Sith would go for revenge.
Yeah, they would.
Wasn't it also like a cost? Maybe I heard this wrong, but maybe I heard there was a cost thing as well. That one extra letter.
No, that's not it. In one of his interviews, he talked about the title of Return of the Jedi. And he said originally it was going to be Revenge, but then I thought, wait, the Jedi wouldn't go for revenge, so I made it Return instead. Nothing to do with the cost of the letters. Okay.
Well, I just think that that's kind of funny that it might have been that.
No, it wasn't that.
Yeah, I think we've kind of covered like how this changed the game in terms of cinema, because mainly in terms of spectacle more than anything else. Because I think that like they kept the spectacle, but they started complexifying the characters in a lot of ways, but also like everything had to go to space.
Yeah. Okay. If we're done with this, then next thing.
So
these movies are definitely more solid.
Yeah.
I mean, the with the prequels, you see that Luke does mirror his father because Anakin goes to the dark side to protect his family. And Luke, in mirroring that, he loses control and gives into the dark side momentarily when his father threatens Leia.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing it to protect his sister. The same way that Vader was trying to protect their mother. The difference between the two is that Luke has a stronger character, I suppose. I think.
Yeah, I think part of the difference is because because Luke had a family, and I think like part of it's like the point, I guess, of the prequel trilogy is to show that the Jedi are wrong. Not that the Jedi are necessarily stupid, that they kind of are in some ways, but more that like they are like going about things the wrong way, that they're too dogmatic. And also it's just like Luke had a loving family that took care of him.
Here's one odd thing.
What's that?
Sorry, a couple of odd things. Actually, Anakin did have his mother, and she was loving. But
oh, go for it. Sorry, I cut you off. Yeah.
But what was the other? Supposedly Anakin is too old at 9 years old, but Luke is like 19, and he's not too. He's 10 years older.
He's 23. He's 23 by the time he gets to meet Yoda.
Yeah, but the point is actually even stronger than he's much older than.
Yeah. However, there was a time when it didn't matter what age the Jedi would recruit at. But that was way, way before the movies.
Yeah.
So it worked. I mean, it worked okay for Luke, but it didn't work okay for Anakin. But it's not because of the
Well,
age.
No, it is. It actually is because of the age.
I think it was
Okay.
because I think like Luke was.
No.
more-
Wait. I have a point. Here.
Okay.
Anakin is old enough to know what he wants, but also not quite old, but also not old enough to understand what that means. Meanwhile, Luke is old enough to know what he wants and old enough to understand what kind of sacrifices he will need to make in order to become what he wants to become. That's not so for a 9-year-old. A 19-year-old is able to make a much better decision and a much more informed decision, even though most of the information about the Jedi, if not all of it, was purged.
So Anakin was both too old and too young.
Yes.
Yeah, I think a part of it is like Anakin also like had like attachment problems because he was the wrong age to begin Jedi training, mostly in terms of he was his mom, and he was very attached to his mom, but then he also became extremely attached to Padme in a rather unhealthy way.
Yeah, I think that Anakin would have done much better had he been Luke's age when Qui-Gon found him. Because he would have had a much better understanding of what committing yourself to the Jedi actually means.
And also, like, he was kind of like just the fact that he's a child who's still kind of developing his mental processes.
Yes. Had he been let's see. Had he been 3 when this happened, it'd have been fine. And if he had been more like closer to, if he'd been around Padme's age, he also would have been old enough to make that kind of decision.
And also just just at the point of time he wasn't able to go through puberty properly, and just didn't have like emotional support from anybody at that time where you kind of need it.
Yeah.
It's a
That
big
too.
problem. I've heard this stated a few times that you should watch them in chronological order as a first viewing, and I was like, no.
It's possible if you talk to someone who has seen the original trilogy, but I would not recommend it. On repeat viewings, go whole hog, go ahead. But not... I would not show my 10-year-old Phantom Menace. I would show them A New Hope. If I had one.
Yeah.
Go for it. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. I think you said 10-year-old. They might be a little young for.
Oh,
Attack of the
no.
Clones.
Well, yeah, maybe a bit. But the point I'm trying to make is if my 5-year-old wants to watch, because I don't remember the first time I watched it. I just remember that I was always sitting in front of the TV watching it. Even when I was younger than 10. So if my kid, if I had one, wanted to watch Star Wars, I would sit them in front of A New Hope first. And I would show them the original trilogy, because the original trilogy as a whole is written better. And then I would show them the prequel trilogy. Yeah,
because the New Hope will draw you in. It draws you into the story. Are you really drawn into the story with Phantom Menace?
The only reason I was drawn into the Phantom Menace is because I'd seen the original trilogy. And A New Hope does a way better job of explaining
How things work.
of explaining how things work, because the prequels are very, very light on how the universe and the power and the quote unquote magic system works.
Yeah, I think the assumption with that Lucas was going off of is that you have seen the originals going into the prequels.
You have seen at least A New Hope.
Yeah.
Which is kind of just like it might have actually been better if he had like gone with the idea of I should probably explain things for a new audience as
Yeah.
opposed to just throwing it out.
Yeah.
Especially if people want to watch in chronological order.
Yeah. And well, Obi-Wan's explanation to Luke is very simple. So maybe simplify it a little bit more and use different words so that it doesn't sound like a rehash.
Yeah.
Because
Or
that's
just-
basically what it would have been.
Yeah. Or even like just say, I think like even just like it's very quick and it would have been, and honestly, just like I kind of would have liked more exposition with the prequels.
Oh
More?
yeah. Like,
Yeah, because there are more Jedi.
the
And
whole
also, oh, go for it. Sorry.
Thank you. That whole thing with the chosen one, we've mentioned that before. The whole chosen one thing isn't explained at all, that I recall.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a scene of someone going to look up the prophecy.
The prophecy.
Or
Yeah.
maybe just talking about it with someone in the background.
Yeah, and we've talked about how there's a bit of a gap with Anakin's fall. I mean, to be fair, with the Vader thing, it's kind of quick. There's kind of a quick change too, but at least then he's saving his son. So
I think the best way to have slid the Chosen One thing into the movies instead of just, making it a nebulous thing would have been to have Anakin himself going to look it up, because because he's the one supposed to be subject to the prophecy. You'd think he'd be the least bit curious.
you would think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, you would assume so. But I think like that pretty much like answers the question of like,
Yeah.
should you watch the prequels? And it's like the answer is no. Honestly,
I mean, I guess you can if you want to, but
Yeah, you can if you want to, but
yeah,
wouldn't recommend it.
yeah. So unfortunately, I think that we pretty much covered everything we want to cover.
Yeah.
In terms of like a broad overview of what's important about these movies. I'm not sure what we're doing for Monday. We're definitely not doing anything for the rest of the week since I am going to be in Salt Lake City. No,
Okay.
not Salt Lake City, Cedar City.
we're not. I mean, okay. Next week.
Yeah, next week's Thursday. Next week, we're not doing anything on any day other than Monday, and we'll just kind of play it by ear, decide what we want to do.
Okay, just not at the absolute last minute.
Oh, no worries. Well, of course not last minute. I need time to create a Prezi. I hate doing things without a Prezi. It's kind of the
Okay.
staple
Did
of
you
this.
ever? I'm sorry, but did you ever reply on the aspiring chap? It's a little late now because we're about
Well,
to.
it was 3
close.
minutes. It was 3 minutes. It was only like 3 minutes ago. We're pretty much done.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
Aspiring chap.
Well, we will call it good there. Adios.
Bye, guys.